back in 2012, 2013, something around that time, I went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I came across these portraits that look so lifelike. I couldn't believe it. Now, that's significant because when you're in a museum, nothing looks lifelike. If you've been to a museum, you know that. I mean, whether it's a Sphinx from Egypt, a hieroglyph, a Greek statue, a medieval painting, nothing kind of feels human. These ones, which you're seeing on the screen now, the Fayum mummy portraits, they look real. I mean, it's like you can feel the Mediterranean sun on them. You could feel the dust in the air. You could smell the spices. And it's kind of unposed. It's kind of like, hey, I'm here. And someone snapped a picture. Now, one thing about me is I love a museum. I love an art museum. But I understand a lot of people don't like museums like that, or they don't fancy history. I love history. History is the dopest subject. It's the best subject. I love it. But even for me, someone that loves history and is immersed in it, these stood out because it feels real, feels human. And if you look up Fayum mummy portraits, who, just to give you a brief snapshot, they are from Roman Egypt, meaning the time that Rome occupied Egypt during that time, which is the time of Jesus. Actually, this portrait right here, Lady of Aline, is from 24 Common Era, which literally means Jesus was probably 30 years old when this portrait was painted. Jesus was literally walking the earth in the bordering country during that time, under the Emperor Tiberius. That's the same emperor. This is as contemporary to Jesus. You can't get more contemporary than this. Jesus actually even lived in Egypt for a little bit. The neighboring country to Israel. Israel borders Egypt around the time of Christ, and these are how the people looked. And I remember thinking, and all the talk about Jesus and what he looks like, how come no one ever shows you this? I couldn't believe something this lifelike was just sitting around and no one thought it valuable. You have this where they look like people. Hey, John, what's up? Picture snapped. Hey, Peter, what's up? Picture snapped. You can smell the fisherman. You can see it. And yet no one uses this. No one says this could possibly be what they look like. Actually, if you go in a British museum, and this is the curator that's behind these portraits in the British Museum, she said that she heard a 5-year-old girl say, "Mommy, mommy, look, real people." So me and that 5-year-old had the same experience, like, wow, real people. But yet this is never used around the time Jesus was alive. Why do we not care for accuracy? Why don't we care? Because the most venerated images, the images people are most devoted to, attached to, we all know it looks nothing like this. We have blonde surfer dude Jesus. We have Eastern Orthodox icon Jesus. We have medieval Catholic Jesus and Mother Mary. We have the Shroud of Turin. We have scientific reconstructions to help us figure out what Jesus looked like. But meanwhile, we have people from the neighboring country in the same era of Christ. And you got to go find this. You got to go walk past this in the museum and say, what is this? Where's this been at? Make that make sense. There's actually a movie called Legends of Destruction that's about the destruction of the temple in the Roman Jewish Wars in 66 AD. And they actually used Fayum mummy portraits to reconstruct what Judeans in the Second Temple period of Judaism, the era of Christ, actually looked like. So there's filmmakers that say this is probably the best image that we have. Yet, you'll find no attachment to this. Every image that looks like this, flat, Byzantine era, halo around the head, Catholic depictions of Christ, most of the time seated on the Holy Mother's knee. It's venerated. People feel extreme attachment and devotion to it. And the more abstract you get, the farther away you get from the realistic view of what these people probably look like. By the 5th century, this is what Jesus looks like. Byzantine icons, gold backgrounds, flat perspectives, solemn, otherworldly eyes. Nothing like an actual person from the Eastern Mediterranean. Nothing like the Fayum faces. Nothing human about it. But this is where the devotion explodes. The iconoclasm controversy nearly split the Eastern Church. People fought wars over these images. People died for them. People died against them. To this day in Orthodox Christianity, icons are kissed, carried in procession, incense during worship. They are treated as sacred windows into heaven. Medieval Europe, Jesus is everywhere. Cathedrals, altarpieces, stained glass floor to ceiling. And Mary, a Jewish peasant girl from Nazareth, is now a European queen with a gold crown and silk robes. The devotion around these images is enormous. Pilgrimages, miracles attributed to specific paintings, wars fought in the name of the Christ depicted in them, an entire civilization built around his face, around this face. And it looks like nothing like the people in those portraits from Egypt. And then in 1940, Warner Sallman, a commercial artist from Chicago, he painted this for a youth church magazine, light skin, blue eyes, soft brown hair. It looks like a professional headshot, clean, approachable, familiar. And through partnerships with both Protestant and Catholic publishers, this image went on prayer cards, stained glass, hymnals, calendars, night lights. Soldiers carried it in World War II. Missionaries carried it around the world. It has been reproduced over 1 billion times. The most reproduced image of Jesus in human history. Painted by an advertising artist who had never been to the Middle East. In 2002, forensic anthropologist named Richard Neave used archaeological data, skull measurements, and computer modeling to reconstruct what a typical first century Galilean Jewish man would have looked like. Shorter, stocky, dark skin, short curly hair, wide face. This made international news. Popular mechanics put it on the cover. The world treated it like revelation. The Shroud of Turin. Centuries of debate, carbon dating tests, pollen analysis, conferences, documentaries, books, all trying to find maybe, possibly, if you look close enough, a faded impression of a face. We will search the shroud for sacredness. We will spend centuries analyzing a cloth that may or may not show anything at all. But these faces will walk right past. Historically accurate faces from the same world Jesus lived and feel nothing. We don't want accuracy. We want sacredness. We want somewhere along the way we decided those two things can't be the same. And I'm not saying it's a white Jesus thing. African Jesus is just as inaccurate. But at least it's honest. At least it's contemporary enough to say we reject the contemporary image of Christ. We like this one. So the issue isn't white Jesus. Why does no one care for any sense of accuracy? Why is it irrelevant? Why does it not matter? Because now when we get back to accuracy, isn't that the whole point of religion, especially Christianity, that the incarnation, that God actually came into the world as a baby, became a man, walked the earth, had human experiences, fully man in all parts. That's the main thing, right? Is that it actually happened, that it was actually an event, that God actually drew near in reality. Isn't that the complete opposite of the whole story? The whole story is that it had context, that it was a specific area, it was a specific people. It was a fulfillment of the promises that God gave to the forefathers of Israel. It was to this place. It was to this holy city, outside the camp of this holy city, according to certain aspects even of Levitical law, to foreshadow Christ, that he die in such a manner, curses anyone that hangs on a tree. I mean, it's relentlessly particular. So can it really mean, well, what's the big deal? Well, you're taking it too deep, bro. Why does it matter? All I'm saying is this, that if we are willing to drift so much on his face, but somehow we claim that we interpret his words 100% accurately. I venerate a different face. I accept a different face. I feel actually more attachment to a different face. But his words, I'm interpreting accurately. Can you really say you understand my voice and not recognize my face? Is that how it works? Can you say, I don't know what Norman looks like, but I know his voice? Nah. One thing about us as humans, we love faces. Faces it means everything to us. And if you like what you've heard so far, that's what this channel is all about. What got lost? We actually like history, and accuracy is valuable. Accuracy can deepen our devotion, not lessen it. But it takes us to be able to relax our grip a bit of what is right and humble ourselves to know that we do lean more towards the familiar and not the accurate. But this channel exists to resurrect, so to speak, the accurate voice of Jesus, not just the familiar, comfortable one. Until next time.